chapter 4. Chapter 4 is all about visual elements and images in websites. So we're going to start out by configuring a horizontal rule, which is so hard. Oh my goodness, this is so complicated. No, JK, this is so easy. So open HP 4-1 in code, and this is that Trillium Media Design page that looks like this. A horizontal rule is just a single line that goes across the page. They used to be really popular back in the day of old school web design, but now not so useful, but you still have to know it because it's in your objectives. Okay, so let's scroll down till just before the footer, and to insert a horizontal rule, it is HR. And that's it. It's a non-breaking, avoid element, excuse me. So you don't have to include a close HR tag. And when you refresh your page, boom, you have a horizontal rule there, okay? Now, that was the old way of creating like a little divider or some type of division in your document, but now we use border box or borders more frequently. So let's open HP. That's all we're doing with that one. See how easy that was? Woo. Let's open HP 4-2 and see how we can configure this a different way. So we have two goals with this project. We want to learn how we can do things like the horizontal rule, but have a little more precision with the way that we want it to look than just that single line. And then we're going to learn about padding. So first, let's start with padding. So you don't have to type this, but we're in 4-2. Let's scroll down to the end of our styles, just right before our style closes. And I'll have you type. I'll tell you what to type in just a minute. But let's look at what padding does first by looking at padding bottom. Now, padding bottom, and we give it a value. I'm going to say 1M. And if we refresh our document, this is what it looked like before we added that padding. And then when we refresh, you see we have this extra white space. Now remember, white space does not necessarily mean that it is the color white. It is just empty space on your page. And white space helps the eye to view visual design better. So it's just an aspect of graphic design, and sometimes you need that. You need things to be separate and not so smushed together. Okay, so instead of doing a padding bottom, we're going to do a padding all around. So do add this to your document, just a H1 padding of 1M. And when we refresh the document now, we have that white space all around that H1. So we could do padding, you could do padding dash left, padding dash right, padding dash top, padding dash bottom, and then the word padding, that property padding, gives the padding to all of those values, top, bottom, left, and right. Okay, now let's look at the border. So we want to create a border, just a dashed border around the bottom of our H2s. So let me show you what those look like first. These are border styles. So you could have none. You could have dotted, dash, solid, double groove, ridge, inset, and outset. Now I have not tried double. The graphic that I used the first time I recorded this video, half of those weren't valid CSS border style properties, or border style values. But I have used things like ridge and outset, inset, dashed, and dotted, and solid before. So if some of these don't work, my bad, but most of these should work. Now, if we did, we're going to do this for H2. Our H2 already exists in our code, and you do want to start looking for that. You really don't want duplicate selectors unless you just have to, like if you had, well, we haven't learned that yet, but make sure that you're typing all your rules in one selector and you just don't have duplicates. So let's go to that H2. And if I wanted to do a border all around, I could do border, and then each time we use the border property, we need 3 values. We need the size, so I'm going to do 2 pixels. We need the style, I'm going to do dashed, and we need the color, which I'm going to do 191970. Okay, and that's going to be that that thick one. thick blue, dark blue. Woo! It's been a long day. Now let's look at this. I'm going to refresh it, okay? And that puts that dotted line all around. But that looks too busy. Maybe we just wanted it on the bottom of the H2. So instead of doing border, we can do border dash bottom. Okay, we could do border dash top, we could do border dash left, right, whatever. And now when we refresh, we just have that dotted line on the bottom of that H2. Okay, let's practice by adding to our footer. Let's add a border top similar to that horizontal rule that we created in the last project. So this time we'll do border dash top. We can use thin as a size. So we could say thin, the type is solid, and then give it a color value, AE D4. And let's see what that looks like first. Okay, there it is, a really thin. It looks almost exactly the same as that HR that we created in the last project. But look right here, see how close those are together? So maybe we want a little extra white space between our text and our HR. So let's add some padding. We're going to do padding top of 10 pixels. And let's take a look at it now. And there we go. Now we have extra space there. So the key takeaways from the border and the padding is you can specify one, like just say border or just say padding, and it will go all the way around that selector. But you could also specify just one portion of that, one side of that, by saying things like border dash top or border dash bottom, like we did up here. And then also remember, for the border, it has 3 values: the size, the style, and the color. And look, even Visual Studio Code gives us a little pop-up there where it says syntax, the line width, the line style, and the color.